Fear Factory editó su nuevo disco el pasado 18 de junio a través de Nuclear Blast. El mismo se llama Edición, Continuum, y por tal motivo conversamos con Dino Cazares, el histórico guitarrista de la banda norteamericana, que nos contó todos los detalles de este nuevo trabajo, el disco que está cantado por Barton Sibel, pero que ya no está más en la banda, detalle del mismo, también cuáles fueron sus mejores giras, varias anécdotas, todo en esta entrevista exclusiva para El Lado Oscuro.
Hello, how are you, Dino?
Good, how are you doing?
Yeah, all good. Thank you. So obviously the reason of this interview is to talk about the new album, Edición, Continuum. So it is finally out, this new album, after many years and all the story behind. Do you feel some kind of relief that nowadays finally the album is out?
100%. I definitely do feel a sense of definitely happiness. I've been celebrating for the past 2 weeks. Very happy that this record finally came out. I'm glad I got the opportunity to go back and add some things that can make this record go to the next level. As far as the production side, adding live drums, things like that. I'm just happy that it finally, after all the turmoil that I went through just to get it out, I'm happy that everyone's finally going to get to hear it.
Yeah. And did you think perhaps there was a moment that this album was never going to be out? Or were you always 100% sure it was a matter of time?
I didn't lose faith. I did not lose faith or hope, that this record was not going to come out. I knew it was going to come out one way or another. You know what I mean? Whether it was going to be called Fear Factory or not called Fear Factory, I knew it was going to come out. The music was at least going to come out.
Mm-hmm. And even though that you knew that Barton was not going to be in the band anymore, have you ever thought perhaps or re-record the album with another singer, or never? Or it was also like did you just leave it like this, just like a closure album of an era?
Well, there was definitely a discussion about removing his vocals for sure. But the label thought it was best to leave his vocals on there, and I agreed, and we went ahead and executed that idea, and obviously that's what you hear now.
Mm-hmm. It's also sounds like an end of an era, right? As well.
Yeah, for everybody involved, it just felt like this is definitely his swan song. This is his last album, and we look forward to moving forward and seeing what the next chapter holds for us.
Yeah, indeed. If I'm not wrong, this album was finished somewhere around 2017. And the drums were re-recorded. But there were some changes from 17 until now in the album, or pretty much remained the same?
There's been some changes, definitely, for sure, in the production side of it, and actually the performance side as well. Adding the live drums was definitely a big game changer on this record. Definitely add more dynamics, more powerful, and it had a lot more feel to it than the previous version. So definitely added that, and collaborating with different keyboardists made a difference. Yep. Getting our old keyboardist, to appear on the record, even though it was for a little bit, he was able to do something on the record. Mr. Reese Fulber. I was able to get Andy Steep back, who mixed Genexus. He mixed this record. It came out great. I got Damien Reynaud, who's been working with the band for a long time. I got him on the record as far as the production side. All the stars aligned, in 2020 when I was able to regain the trademark and move forward with making this record sound as best as it could be. We definitely went back in and reamped the guitars to make them sound bigger, heavier, more powerful. Adding a little bit more attack to the guitars, made a big difference. So very happy that I had the opportunity to do that.
I guess that working with Andy is like having a winning card in your hand.
Yeah, Andy's an A-list mixer. He's one of those guys that just knows how to approach that type of sound for us, and I'm glad I got to use him.
For this new album and perhaps the new stage, was perhaps Tony Campos the newer musician involved also in the composition?
No, he was not involved in the composition because he was too busy with his other band, Static X. Yeah. But Tony's been in the band. Tony's been working with the band for a few years now. Unfortunately, he is just our live bass player at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So now that the album was out some weeks ago, how do you find the responses of the people, the press, the reaction?
The response has been amazing. I've been really surprised how well that people perceive this record to be up there with with the top 2 or top 3 albums of our catalog. This is our 10th studio record.
Yep.
A lot of people compare it to Obsolete or Demanufacture or Mechanized. I think it's great that people are sitting there and like trying to figure out, the vibe of the record. But, I think the energy of this record is very positive. And I think that even though it's very aggressive and it sometimes could be very dystopian, but that's pretty much what people expect from our records,
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that we were able to bring all those elements that we've done over the years and plus new elements to make this record fucking amazing. And people feel it. People like it.
Yeah. So I think that there was not only anxiety in your side, but also in the fans and the press to listen to the new album. And you can see that in the reactions.
Well, you can definitely feel what we are feeling on this record, for sure. You know what I mean? The passion, the emotion, and the struggle that we put into this to get this record out. You hear it. You hear it in the music and you hear it in the lyrics. And people are, identifying with that, and they're really connecting with it, and I think it's amazing. I think the record is so good that some people look for a reason not to like it. So,
yeah, people sometimes it's not easy, right?
Yeah.
But you were talking about the music, the lyrics that feel very connected. The song "Record" has a part with it starts with "The world we know has suffered from the system we once knew," and there is also some parts. Perhaps it is like a situation of the band. Reflects this song the situation of the band.
It could, it could mean that. A lot of the stuff I added, in 2020, like for instance, the intro of the record, the outro of the record, the intro to Aggression Continuum. There's a lot of things, a lot of elements that I added later on. But yeah, I mean, maybe that's how it is, but it's more of a conceptual thing than necessarily a personal thing, But the end of the record, the fear is the mind killer. Once the fear is gone, only I remain. That's more of a personal thing. That's more of because I'm trying to prepare people for the change. There's going to be change in this band. There's going to be a new singer. So that's going to be a big difference for a lot of the fans who've only heard one singer for the past 30 years. So
yeah.
I'm trying to prepare people for the change. And at the end of the record with that speech is what that means. Just letting people not fear the future. And also at the end, it says, only I remain. And so that's me. I am the only one member. So yeah, that's the reason why I put that speech towards the end of the record like that.
Mm-hmm. So how challenging is for you this moment and the future?
How challenging is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it could, the future is going to be definitely very challenging for sure. I mean, everything is, life is, you know what I mean? Every day we wake up can be a new challenge, but it's how we take on those challenges. And for me, it's been very positive. I've had a lot of people around the world contact me, regarding the position of singing for Fear Factory. And I look forward to it. You know what I mean? I look forward to where this new person can take us to a different chapter of Fear Factory.
Mm-hmm. Is a decision made or not yet?
Some things
you will never say it, of course, but
no, I can't. Yeah, I can't answer that question yet because,
of course,
I want it to be an announcement. You know what I mean?
Of course. But inside you already have. Okay, I know that this is going to be the guy.
So I can answer the question.
Okay. After 30 years that the band has a guitar sound like you and a voice like Barton, what do you search or what do you want for the new singer? Something to be a mix that looks into the past and can also sing the past, but also look into the future to add new elements?
Exactly. I mean, I don't want to, get somebody who can't necessarily represent the past. I want someone who can do that. But I also want this person to have its own identity in the moving forward in the future. You know what I mean? Just that when we have to step into the past, that he's able to handle that as well as what we create moving forward.
Going back to the album, the album sounds, at least for me, very well balanced with the aggression, the melodic part, also the keyboards, as you were saying, that play a very important part. I don't know if you think this way, but how easy or difficult it is to find this balance and to make the songs sound really powerful?
Well, it's not that difficult to find the balance because we found the balance, many years ago, in all of our records. You know what I mean? If you listen to Demanufacture and Obsolete, obviously there's a big balance in those records. So, and the other records after that too as well. So we have a particular formula that we like to stick to, something that we created back in 1994 when we were doing Demanufacture. I believe that we nailed it. We perfected our sound there, and we stuck with that formula since that time. We've stayed with our formula, and I think that's one of the things that makes Fear Factory relevant today is that our formula was able to change how we look at metal music, because if you listen to the syncopated guitars, the melodic riffs, the heavy riffs, the melodic vocals, and the heavy vocals, that pretty much became a staple in music today. I didn't aspire just to write music. I inspire to change music, and I believe that we were able to change music as we know it, metal music.
Definitely.
Since that time, and I think that I just stick with our formula and try to improve on my songwriting every time, every record. I always feel like I need to prove something every time I go to a record to make a record. You know what I mean? I never lost that hunger. I never lost that drive. I never lost that attitude when it came to making records. I mean, look at all the records that I've made. Brujeria, Asesino, Divine Heresy. All those records are powerful one way or another, you know what I mean? And, I believe that, even way back then, even doing Brujeria, there was not a lot of... I can't think of anybody who was doing Mexican death metal in Spanish. You know what I mean? Yeah. I can't really think of any. I'm sure there's many, and I just don't know of any. But we definitely did cross boundaries with those records. With the Brujeria records. You know what I mean? And I felt, and that was before Fear Factory. So I felt that I was, pushing the envelope and being as innovative as possible. Doing those early Brujeria and those early Fear Factory records, and set out to try to change music and how people see it when it comes to metal or heavy rock,
Listen to the album. Of course, there are some, as you said, this is the formula of Fear Factory, but also there are some moments with new things or some different moments. Perhaps Monolith is one of the songs that are a bit different in the album.
Yeah, Monolith is definitely one of those standout tracks that definitely has different elements that we probably never really touched upon. But it's still heavy. It's still a heavy track. It's still got some really cool stuff about it. The riff is still pretty heavy, but the vocals, we really break down the vocals on the verse, and we really make those parts stand out. Yeah. A lot of people have been saying that they really like that track. You know what I mean? But I think that they like the track when they hear it in an album sequence. But I think if I would have released that, if I would have released that song as a single in the beginning, people be like, "What the fuck is this?" The band changed. You know what I mean?
They couldn't understand. Yes.
So you have to kind of like strategically place it on the record to where it stands out, and then now people love it. Like I could release that song as a single now, and it'll be okay because people heard the whole record and know what the whole record's about. But releasing that track first wouldn't have worked at all.
Yeah, that's why Recode was the perfect song to release before and to open the album as well.
Well, yes, but it was actually Disruptor was the first single that came out.
Yeah.
But Recode for sure. Recode was number 2. No, I'm sorry. Fuel Injected Suicide Machine was number 2.
Yeah, true.
So we wanted to give him something heavy. So, we gave it to him, and it's okay because, people are really appreciating the record as a whole. And when I set out to make records, I try to make a record that people are going to listen from start to finish, right? I want to make a record that that flows well. So the minute you put the first song on, and you're like, "Fuck, that was amazing. What's next?" And wow, and then they get towards the end of the record, and they're listening to Monolith, going, "Fuck," and then obviously the closing song, End of Line. People listen to it all the way through. So
has it become a tradition that in the latest Fear Factory's albums, the last song is like the longest of the album?
It's always been that way since Demanufacture, yeah.
Any particular reason, or just
like I like to do closures? To me, those are closure songs. You know what I mean? I like to make it feel like, hey, the movie started, with Recode, and then the movie ends with a closing type of track.
How did you come with the title of the album, Aggression Continuum?
It was actually a song. It was actually a title of the song, and I thought it best represented the record because of the sound, the tone, the vibe, the anger that you hear on the record. I thought the title was more fitting.
Also, perhaps like a statement. Okay, we are still Fear Factory, and we are still sound aggressive.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of Continuum is something that's ongoing. So, obviously we're going to continue with what we are creating. Sure, the music is aggressive. Sure, then that fits the title. Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I decided not only to call the record that, but also, you're right, as a statement saying, hey, we're going to move forward, and this is going to be still doing the aggressive stuff that we do. Yeah, for sure.
Have you written any new material for the new following album?
Yes, I've written material for a new singer. So to see how he adapts and or that person adapts, how they are going to connect with the music and the vibe of Fear Factory. Just whoever is going to come in and step in is going to have to hopefully. Well, I wrote new material so this person can, sing with this new material and not have to just look, singing the past stuff, but also, putting their 2 cents into what could be the next Fear Factory record.
And now with this pandemic situation, are you also waiting perhaps to the things open a bit more and come together with the next person just to see in not virtually but just in person to meet the candidates?
Yeah, well, of course, in-person auditions is very important, not just virtually. You know what I mean? We need to have people here to definitely do physical auditions. That is correct.
Okay.
It's all about chemistry to see how this person is going to fit with us. And it's been very nice here in California and nice and sunny.
So I guess that you are eager also to hit the road in the future.
Of course. Yeah, of course. But we won't be doing that till next year. there'll be announcements coming up soon about what's going to happen with the touring situation. But the rest of this year is pretty much going to be getting prepared for who the new singer is going to be.
A couple of last questions. How do you feel when you look back the band 30 years ago and see the status that you have accomplished during all these years, as you mentioned before?
Yeah, I'm just very proud that I was able to leave, this legacy. You know what I mean? Listen, we all die, right? Everybody dies. And the goal isn't to live forever. But the goal is, for me, is to create something that will live forever. And I feel that, Fear Factory, creating those early records that were game-changing records, all those records that will live forever. They're classics. They're legendary. You know what I mean? So even though I'm gone, those records will still keep going.
If you would need to choose a show, a tour of Fear Factory, the best tour you have ever done.
That's there's a lot of them. When we opened up for Metallica, it was one of the highlights of my career. We did all Europe and Australia, Japan, New Zealand. If I ever achieve that level of success, they are definitely a band to model that success after, because they treated their opening bands really well, right? And so that's something to aspire to, to try to make it to that level, of course, right? But that's definitely one of the highlights. I could go all the way back to the Sepultura tour that we did in 1994. That one was a great tour as well. A lot of great experiences. We learned a lot way back in the day when we were touring with all those bands. But there's so many. It's hard to say. We toured with Ozzy. We toured opened up for Iron Maiden, opened up for Megadeth, opened up for Slayer, opened up for Rob Zombie. We did a lot of tours with a lot of big bands, and thank you to all those bands that really gave us a chance to get out there.
You opened for Ozzy when you released The Manufacturer, right?
Yes, right when The Manufacturer came out, we did a full U.S. and European tour with Ozzy. Yeah.
Yeah, that is also another highlight of your career for sure.
Yeah, it was a good 2-3 months touring with Ozzy. It was a long tour.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And was there any guitar player that influenced you, or say, okay, I want to be
millions?
I want to be on the stage like this guy.
Well, yeah, of course. When I was a kid, 9 years old, seeing AC/DC on television when you're 9, I was like, right there, I knew what I wanted to be and I knew what I wanted to do. And I was very attracted to that. And once I started getting into my teenage years, when I was 14 years old, got my first electric guitar, I was not looking back. I was like, I got to find a way to be in music. I got to find a way to make it. And so, by the time I was 17, I was living in Los Angeles, trying to survive in LA and trying to meet meet like-minded people who wanted to create this music with me. And luckily I was able to meet a lot of people and get involved in the music scene and start jamming with people and just making bands and just progressing as I went along.
Mm-hmm. How was LA in that moment in the early 90s?
Well, it was a mid 84 when I first moved to LA. Was when I was really, 17 years old and just trying to meet as many people as possible. It worked out. It worked out good for me. Mid 90s was amazing. Like you asked about, the mid 90s was killer because, Demanufactured came out. And I wanted to pay it forward. I wanted to help out all the bands that I knew here in LA. Static X, Spine Shank, System of a Down, Cold Chamber, and a few other ones as well. I tried to help out as much as possible, try to get them signed, try to give them advice whenever they needed advice. So, I loved it at that time.
And do you plan to do something else in the future with Divine Heresy or with Asesino?
Definitely, of course, yes, for sure. When I get time, right now it's all about the Fear Factory machine and working this album, and getting a new singer. It's a lot of work coming ahead for me. But I can always, definitely do a new Divine Heresy, and for sure, a new Asesino.
Okay, that is. It was a pleasure for me to talk with you, and hopefully, perhaps in the future, we can see you live in Uruguay for the very first time.
Thank you. I'm sure we will be going there. I'm sure.
I really hope. Thank you very much. Have a nice day, and all the best for you in the future.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.